it's absolutely freezing in here in winter. Something that's probably, it's never really talked about is what shoes you wear when you're lifting. So I actually wear flat shoes like Vans or Converse when I'm doing like deadlifts or good mornings, or basically any leg exercise except squats. Then when I'm doing squats, I wear weightlifting shoes. Then apart from that, I like wearing runners, but it actually makes a big difference what shoes you're wearing when you're doing different lifts, especially the leg lifts. So deadlifts, you shouldn't really be wearing weightlifting shoes. I definitely shouldn't be anyway, because if I wear weightlifting shoes with the elevated heel while I'm deadlifting, I don't get as much of a stretch on my hamstrings and glutes, which is the whole point of the exercise. So you want a flat and hard shoe, but without the incline of a weightlifting shoe. So today is the back day, it's the first back day. It's the heavier one, and I always start off with some skipping. It's absolutely freezing in here, then take off a few layers. So when you're training in this gym in winter, it's actually fine. A few sets into it and I'm warm enough and I'm sweating. When you're standing around for a while personal training, you get absolutely freezing. Or right before your session, you're freezing. So I like to skip to warm up. 3 or 4 minutes skipping really gets your heart rate up really high. I always advise everyone to skip. I think it's a cool skill to have, and it's intense cardio without very little risk of injury. You can burn a lot of calories very quickly, and great warm-up exercise, and great finisher at the end of your workout. Okay, so day 1 of my program is a back day. Like I was saying, well warmed up now after a few sets of deadlift to warm up, which is my primary lift, to the skipping as well to get the heart rate up for about 5 minutes. So what I do with deadlifts and my primary lifts on this program, deadlift, bench press and squat, is I build up slowly 10 kg or 20 kg at a time until I hit to a top set. And the top set I'm trying to add either a couple of reps or else a little bit of weight each week. I got up to a top set on the RDLs of 160 kg for 8. Not going to do that today because I'm on low calories last week too. Don't want to do anything silly while I'm on the lower calories, especially with deadlifts or squats. Anything that taxes the CNS too much or hits your lower back very hard. So I'm going to build up to a top set today, probably about 150 kg for 8, and see how that feels.
Yeah, I thought I was thinking.
I heard this line. Brilliant.
Class.
That's probably what you call your first working set. Too heavy to be just a warm-up set. 130 for 8 felt okay, so hamstrings are definitely a little tight and lower back gets a bit fatigued, and you definitely don't feel as good under the heavier lifts as you do on them higher calories, as most of you know. But that doesn't feel too bad, so we'll go to 140 next set, top set is 150. I've never actually used a deadlift as a primary lift before. Never any type of deadlift. So I know this is a back day, and you could say that RDLs is more of a glutes, posterior chain, lower body exercise than upper body exercise, and it is. But the way I'm looking at it is strengthening your glutes, hamstrings, your lower back. It's only going to benefit upper back training. It definitely warms up my upper back, there's no doubt about that. Traps and lats feel well fired up after it. So overloading on a heavy leg exercise that's not squats is strange for me, and I've really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed doing RDLs far more on this program than I ever have before. Probably because I've been lifting them heavier than I ever have before, and I used to do RDLs like where you put back extensions of good mornings at the end of a leg day. where your lower back is already really fatigued and just far less enjoyable. So putting them as the primary lift at the start of a back day, I've loved it. I've got loads of benefit out of it. My glutes, hamstrings pumped up like nothing else. My glutes grew a lot, lower back feels stronger, and my back is probably my most improved body part this year. Okay, so going to what we call the second working set, 140 for 8. That felt better than I thought it would as well. I'm still not going to chance the 160 today on those lower calories. No point risking an injury. Good, so second exercise after I did a top set of RDLs there. If I wasn't dieting, I'd do a top set and a back offset. So a top set, then take about 20% of the weight off and do as many reps as I can. So I did 60 one day for 8 like I said, and then I did 125 for 12. So that was my top set and back offset. Every time I went in this training phase. Didn't do the back offset today on the lower carbs, lower calories. So after I finish that primary lift, I do a row, and a row specifically that doesn't put the lower back under any stress after doing the heavy deadlifts. So 8 by 8. So I do 8 by 8 on these and 30 seconds break. So Vince Grand 8 by 8, it's popular enough. Set 2. So it's tough cardio wise because you only get 30 seconds break. So it's not just that 8 by 8 on muscle is tough, and that's going to really pump up the lats in this case. It's also the fact that the rest break's so short. It's also important to note that I'm using straps here. So you should never let a weak grip or a fatigued grip get in the way of training your back. So if your grip is too weak for you to get a proper workout done on your back muscles, then you should be using straps. Now I don't get beginners to use them, but if you've been lifting weights properly, lifting weights properly for a while, I would definitely say to invest in them. Okay, so it doesn't mean that you're allowed to have a weak grip and your grip goes to shite. It just means for the heavy sets, or for when you're doing a lot of sets like I am now, that your grip doesn't fatigue out and stop your back muscles from getting the proper overload they need to grow and get stronger as well. Okay. Set 5. felt that one. Lighter weight because you're higher volume, higher rep ratings. Still really feel my back pumped up. So this is my last road exercise of the day. So this is more stretch emphasis, trying to get really low at the bottom rather than like seated cable row where you're trying to really squeeze the lats back, contract hard as you can. This is more of a stretch down the bottom, so as you can see. I also do a drop set on this set. This is my final set doing this. This is my last back exercise, shrugs. I've actually never programmed shrugs before in my life, so I've done them plenty of times, but never had them on a program, never trained them to overload them. And unsurprisingly, because I've never trained them before, I've been able to add a lot of weights to them quickly. So I started off with 70, feeling really heavy and being really sore in the traps a few days afterwards. Now I'm using 100, the same amount of reps. And I figured that even though traps aren't that muscle you want to develop in your back for aesthetics, that's more lats, I figured I want to make my whole back bigger. Back was a big weak point in my last show last year, so I want to make the whole back bigger, and my chain is only as strong as its weakest link. I need to start focusing on the traps, build them up as well, and the weight's really been climbing. So I use the trap bar, and again using the straps, it's quite heavy on the grip, and 100 kg for 12 is what I'm doing today. Always trying to get a bit of a pause at the top. And all these 4 exercises done, I should have a very complete back pump. So after all the back work is done, moved on to bicep work. Simplest tip in the world from Mountain Dog. That's completely changed my bicep training and tricep training. Is do the contraction exercises first, the shorten range, and the lengthen exercises second. Where you're in the lengthened range obviously and you're stretching it. You get a far better pump, it's easier on the joints, and you just enjoy your arm training so much more because that big pump. So the first one I'm doing is standing easy bar curls, just 100 reps. So biceps respond far better to higher reps, higher volume, shorter breaks. So I just do 100 reps with this weight, whether it takes me sets of 20, sets of 10, sets of 15, just keep going until I get 100 reps. That's 55 there. So not something I ever thought I'd be doing a few days ago is 100 reps of cheek curls on biceps, but you have to do what you have to do and change up your training style if any muscle group isn't responding to what you're normally doing. So what always works for my legs definitely didn't work for my arms. When incline bicep curls, it's the healthiest bicep curl you can do for the shoulder joint, getting that stretch behind with your elbow back in line with the shoulder. So I've always done it as the first bicep exercise I was doing, or the only bicep exercise I was doing. Now I'm doing it as a secondary lift when I'm already pretty pumped up. So elbows back, far straighter than the first one. Elbows back, in line with the shoulder. Squeeze hard. Big stretch in the back. Second set, short breaks again. That's me signing off. That's the back day one. It's the heaviest back day of the three of them. It's the one with the primary lift, or the main primary lift, your RDLs. 2 rows then after that, shrugs after that, and then 2 bicep exercises. I love this workout. Get a brilliant pump on my back. The best pump I've ever gotten on my biceps is at the end of these workouts, where I've used that simple stretch, contract training technique. So this is the first video in a 5-video series where I take you through my workouts I've been doing for the last 12 weeks. Thanks for watching, and the next video is chest day.